Hi, my name is Jonathan Shiley from the Spiffy Web team, and today we'll be developing a on-the-fly compiled module in .NetNuke. What you'll need is a pre-installed version of .NetNuke. You go ahead and log in as host. In the host control panel, you'll go to extensions and create a new extensions from the action menu. Select new. Create a folder for the owner of the module. In this case, it'll be Spiffy Web Team. Select a module folder. That'll be the name of your module. I'll call mine Spiffy Mod. If you don't have this, you can just go ahead and create it in the Add Folder section. I'll be doing all my programming in Visual Basic today, but you can do the same thing in C#. Create a file name. This will be the user control that is created by .NetNuke, so I'll just call this user list. For the module that we'll be creating, we're going to be listing all of the users in the portal. And then give your module a name. And I won't be creating a page since I already have one created. And that's all there is to it. We now have a module that we can go onto my page here and add it to the page. And we'll get the default congratulations message from the user control that's been created. So if we actually take a look at this inside of .NetNuke, you'll see inside the desktop modules folder of the root instance, you'll see the Spiffy Web Team folder we created, the Spiffy Mod, and the user list control that's automatically created by .NetNuke. So if I open this up, you'll see that default message. So we'll go ahead and get rid of that. We don't need that. And for the sake of cleanliness, I like to keep all my code in a code behind file, but you can also use this method, which is the inline coding. But we're going to go ahead and switch everything to a code behind file. So if we go back to the desktop modules folder, where our user list is created, we'll just create a new blank text file and just call it user list ASCII .bb for the programming language, CS for any C# guys. And just go ahead and copy this over into our Visual Studio. So now we need to link things up. So by default, .NetNuke pulls from the entities modules portal module base for all the modules. And this links up all your parameters and settings. So we're going to cut that out and create our own subclass for that, for this user list file. So best thing to do is just give it the path of where the file is located. We can just go ahead and do that under here. Okay. And once that's created, we'll go ahead and copy that. We don't need this class name here. And then we just need to point to that code behind file. Actually, code file in the new one. You'll see it's listed here. If I type this, it'll just give you the full path, which will technically work, but we really only need this section of it. And then save that. So now we don't need the inline code file anymore. Get rid of that. And just to see that this is in fact going to be linked up, we're going to go ahead and add a label on here. Just so we can see that in the code behind file. And blank out the text. And we'll interact with that here in a second. So back here, we'll just create a partial class of that same name. And there we go. And now we need to inherit from that superclass of .NetNuke entities modules portal module base. This will give us access to all the page functions that we need, such as specifically page load. And you'll see that's now populated here. And you also see that we have access to our text label. So we'll go ahead and change this. And it'll say, voila. Now you notice I'm just going to save this. No compiling is needed. Go back into our site, refresh, and within a second, you'll see we have our message. No compiling necessary. And if I go back once more and change our code behind file, save that, switch back, refresh, and within a second, we get our message, new test again message. So no waiting for the recompiling, and everything comes up very quickly. So part 2 is going to be actually creating our list of users and demoing where to access the user controller. So we're going to go back into our Visual Studio application, and we'll get rid of our test message here. No longer need that. Lower this label. And for simplicity's sake, we're just going to drop this into a simple repeater. So a repeater module or control will just simply repeat any of the item template that we create for it. And in this case, it'll just be a list of the users. Alright. Give it a simple template. And that would be the list of the names. So, give it a nice header here. And I'll do an inline style. And we'll change this out for a class then. Okay. And for this, I'll go ahead and type this, and I'll explain this in a second. So what we're going to do is just simply evaluate the object that we're going to get, which is going to be a user info class, which I'll explain, which contains a first and last name for the users. So to populate that, go back into our code behind file, in the page load event. If not page is post back, we need to run it more than once. We'll just be loading members. Create a new private sub for load members. To access the members, we simply need to access the user controller for DotNetNuke. To do that, it's in the DotNetNuke entities, users, user controller. The method we'll be using is getUsers. Which returns an array list of user info objects. So we need to capture that user info array list. We need to give it the portal ID. Portal ID comes from one of the public methods of the portal module base. So for no matter which portal you're on, that method will get, or property will get populated. So now that we have our array list of users, we just simply need to data bind that to the repeater. And there we go. So if I refresh this, hit save, and what we'll get is an error. So let me jump back into the code here, see what I missed. So I know what the problem is. Just need to actually switch this to, since it's a data adapter, switch it from equal sign to the pound sign. So now if I go back, nice thing about this, go ahead and just hit the page again, and we'll get our list of members. So there's 2 users in this, and we can see that by going into our admin and user account, and you'll see the 2 users. That's it. So one of the things, next thing we want to do is then map these users to the user profile, which you'll see here for every user. And it's as simple as just changing out this user ID, and we'll get to the other user. So if we want to code that up, go back into our Visual Studio and add a new hyperlink. And we're going to make this a server control so we can access it. Call it profile link. Move that here. In the code behind file, we'll just simply add a event for the data bind and just check to make sure there is data in the data adapter. It's not header or footer, it'll be nothing. So we need to find that new control that we just added. So within this item, find control, we call it hyperlink profile link, and we'll set that type so we can access its methods to an HTML anchor. And you'll see href is one of the options. Now, DotNetNuke has a controller class that will allow you to create URLs based on the pages, and it's called navigate URL. And we need to give it with a tab ID, otherwise known as the page ID, for that. So within one of the methods of the portal module base is portal settings. Portal settings will give us the current tab ID for the user's profile page, called user tab ID, I believe. Yep, there it is. And there's several overload methods for this, but the one we'll be using is the control key parameters one. So set, we don't need a control key, and then the parameters we'll be setting are the query string pages for user ID, and we'll be setting that equal to the data item, which is the user info object, and we know that from the data binding event up here. And if we set that type to the user info object, we can get the user ID from that. To string that, so it can actually put that in a query string. And we have one too many parentheses there, and there we go. Save that. Come back to our project page, refresh, and now we have our links. If we click this, I'll be sent to the profile page, and if you want to see what that looks like when we're logged out, there you go.